Today we are veganizing two of my childhood favorite recipes that live inside my grandma's recipe box. Plus, later on, I'll be bringing a very special guest onto the channel, none other than my own grandma, to taste these two recipes that I have made vegan. Will she love them? Will she hate them? Keep watching and find out. First up, we are veganizing a recipe that is over 100 years old, and they are, in my opinion, the best meatballs in the world. They're called Porcupine Meatballs. And no, they are not made with porcupine. God no, but they're called that because of the way rice sticks out of them once they're cooked. They were a dinner time staple in my house growing up as a kid. My grandma made them, my mom made them, and everyone in the family always went nuts over them for their tender, melt-in-your-mouth goodness. Then I'm gonna show you how I recreated my grandma's baked mac and cheese, and I'm telling you, it is unlike any other mac and cheese you have probably ever tried. It has all sorts of goodies and little surprises in there, plus it has a crispy, crunchy bread topping. You probably wouldn't even know that it was vegan if I didn't tell you. If that sounds good to you, keep watching and let's get right into the first recipe. The ingredients for porcupine meatballs couldn't be simpler and are relatively inexpensive, except for maybe the Beyond Beef, but you more than likely already have every other ingredient in your pantry. You'll need white rice, breadcrumbs, balsamic vinegar, tomato paste, granulated sweetener of some kind, and garlic powder, salt, and water. You're gonna start by first making the meatball mixture by finely dicing up one small to medium-sized onion and setting it aside in a bowl. Mince up a few garlic cloves and add that to the onions, then crack open a package of Beyond Beef or any other plant-based beef substitute that you prefer and plop it into a large mixing bowl. Then take the diced garlic and onions and pour them right on top of the plant-based meat. Add just half a cup of white rice to the mix, followed by some breadcrumbs. I'm using gluten-free by necessity, but you can use regular too. And the secret ingredient for the best flavor, a couple tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. You could also use vegan Worcestershire if you had it, but it's generally more pricey than balsamic. Then just add some fresh cracked black pepper to taste, about a quarter teaspoon, and then using a fork to start, I like to just mix and mash things up a little bit to get things going. This is just to break up any bits of rice or breadcrumbs that may have started sticking together, and then we're just going to get right in there with our hands and finish the job by really squeezing and folding all the ingredients until they're a well-combined meatball mixture. Easy peasy, right? Next, you're gonna make the simple tomato simmer sauce. So into a large flat-bottom sauté or saucepan, add a whole can of tomato paste. You know, the small ones that are only about 8 ounces. Then add 2 cups of water or veggie broth, but water is totally acceptable. And just to add a touch of sweetness to counteract the acidity of the tomato paste, you're gonna add 1 tablespoon of a granulated sweetener, plus half a teaspoon of garlic powder for a little bit of flavor, and a dash of salt to bring all the flavors to life. Black pepper is never a bad choice, so add a little bit of that too. Then just whisk everything together until the spices and tomato paste have dissolved in the water and you have a nice little tomato sauce. Let's hop over to the stove and move on to the meatballs. So using your hands, form the meat mixture into roughly 2 tablespoon sized balls and really compact them together so as much rice and onions stay inside the meatball. Inevitably, some of them will fall out during the cooking, which only adds extra delicious flavor into the sauce. Place them as close together as possible until you have used up all the meat mixture, then just cover with a lid and bring the sauce up to a boil, then reducing the heat back down to low so the meatballs just simmer away for about 40 minutes. About halfway through cooking time, just turn the meatballs over with a fork so they cook evenly, and by this point you'll start to see why they're called porcupine meatballs, because all the rice on the outside is starting to poke out of the meatballs, you know, like little spikes on a porcupine. Get it? Anyway, once they're done, the meatballs will have plumped up and absorbed some of that tomato sauce, but still leaving some sauce to pour over your meal. I gotta say, the vegan beef here truly did not disappoint when it came to overall texture, firmness, and mouthfeel, and the flavor is really great. It tastes exactly like how I remember from my childhood. Cooking them in that simple yet bizarrely luscious sauce makes them fork tender, melt in your mouth delicious. I'd say this is hands down the best recipe I have veganized to date. Now, traditionally, at least how I grew up eating them, they were most often served with rice or mashed potatoes and with some sort of veggie on the side. But they are fabulous served over pasta noodles and are just so dang flavorful and satisfying. To me, the balsamic vinegar just brings out all the flavors of the onions, the garlic, the Beyond Beef, but also that sweet tomato sauce. I am just so dang shook about this recipe, and I honestly cannot wait to see my grandma's reaction when she tries them and finds out what she really thinks of my vegan variation on her recipe. I'm very excited to have a super special guest on my channel today, my 89 years young grandma, Donna. Everyone say hi to Grandma. So have you ever tried a vegan recipe before?
No, I haven't.
No.
I haven't.
Never tried a vegan recipe before, guys. This is huge. Here you go, Grandma. This is a porcupine meatball.
Oh, I recognize it.
You do?
Yeah. Thank you.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
So she recognizes what they look like. What do you remember about the taste and the texture of porcupine meatballs?
The spaghetti part of it.
The tomato sauce?
Yes, the tomato sauce part of it.
Yeah.
And I need to have a bite.
Okay, we're gonna get there, I promise. We're just looking at these and I'm just teasing her with all these questions. Okay.
It's been a while.
All right, Grandma. Well, I think we should get down to business and give it a try. So
I do too.
You take a bite.
Take a bite.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have a bite with you.
That deserves a second bite.
Ooh.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, bringing back some memories.
Yep.
Yep.
Look at that rice.
What do you think of the texture? Do you find that it just kind of melts in your mouth?
Yep.
Do they bring back any memories for you at all?
Only that everybody that I made them for always raved about how good they were.
Right? Now, Grandma, tell me this.
Uh-oh.
Can you tell that they're vegan?
Oh, no, I cannot. No, I cannot.
Interesting. See, this is vegan meat, Grandma, believe it or not. This is beyond beef. Isn't that
Beyond
crazy?
beef, yeah.
There's it's simulated beef that tastes and has a mouthfeel so similar to meat.
Yeah.
I love that. You couldn't tell it was
no,
vegan.
I couldn't. No, I couldn't.
Would you recommend them to viewers out there?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Wow, that's quite the endorsement.
Get that recipe and get out and buy some hamburger.
Grandma approved, you guys. Vegan porcupine meatballs, coming from the woman who made them herself. All right, folks, we're on to recipe number 2, which I am sure is a classic in most households, baked mac and cheese. What do you think of that, Grandma?
Yummy.
Yum.
More yum.
Yes, it is a baked tomato and mushroom mac and cheese. To me, nothing says like cozy, homemade family dinner more than a baked mac and cheese. When you were a kid, do you ever remember your mom making mac and cheese for you and your siblings?
Oh yes, she did.
Yes.
It was a very inexpensive meal for 6 kids.
So I have kind of bouged up this recipe. Bouge means like bougie. Do you know what bougie means?
Bougie.
Bougie.
Oh.
It's like making it fancy, a little
okay.
a little bit extra with some, I'll say, performance enhancements to this mac and cheese.
Well, whatever that means.
It's gonna be, I think, pretty delicious, but of course we have to wait and see what you think of it, Grandma, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you have to say about this mac and cheese. So let's just get right into this recipe and I'll explain what little extra fun things I have added to this classic baked tomato mushroom mac and cheese. Now this baked mac and cheese may seem basic, but with a few fun tweaks to the ingredients, this meal goes from great to get in my tummy right now. So we're gonna start simple and get those macaroni noodles boiling in a pot of salted water. Again, I'm using gluten-free rice noodles by necessity, but any kind of macaroni noodle here is great. While those cook away, we're going to prepare the garlicky breadcrumbs. Yummy! I always say the more garlic the better. So you're gonna mince up 4 large garlic cloves and saute them in oil until they become golden and fragrant and even a little bit crispy. So about 4 to 5 minutes. Then you're just gonna add about half a cup of breadcrumbs and stir that into the garlic and oil and keep stirring occasionally on a medium-low heat for another 5 minutes or so until they too become nice and golden. In the meantime, while your stove is doing all those things, we're gonna whip up a super simple cashew sauce for the mac. So pour in the soaked cashews with their soaking liquid into a blender plus some unsweetened plant milk, I'm using soy, followed by a little bit of nutritional yeast for extra cheesy and savory flavor. That's it, 3 ingredients. Then just blend that on high speed for at least 1 whole minute to ensure the cashews have been obliterated and the sauce is nice and smooth and creamy. Back to the stove, your noodles have cooked and you drained them, so add a tablespoon of vegan butter in that pot and add the cooked macaroni right back in there. And then pour that cheesy cashew sauce over the noodles and stir until all the macaroni has been covered. Next, add 2 cups of shredded vegan cheddar to the mix, but leave just a little bit behind so you can sprinkle that on top before it goes into the oven. Stir again to get that cheese melting a little. Some brands take longer than others to melt. This one does take some time, but not to worry. Then add a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, not crushed. We want those chunks of tomato in there. Plus about 1 cup of chopped mushrooms. Fresh is better, but canned is also a way to do it too. Add some salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning for extra flavor. Stir that all again to combine. Now, yes, it's a lot of stirring and mixing, but it's important that they're done in this order to ensure optimal cheese melting and dispersion once this is all in the casserole dish. Now for the one last ingredient that I highly recommend you make and add to this mix are bacon bits. Yes, it's an extra step to prepare while everything is cooking, but I promise you it's 100% worth the extra effort, which really isn't that much to be honest. I made these previously on the channel in this video up here if you're keen to get the recipe, or find it in the video description below. They just add that classic smoky, salty, crispy bacon flavor and texture that just brings this whole meal up to another level of delicious. So I'd say don't skip them. Now grab yourself a large casserole dish like so and lightly oil it with cooking spray or vegan butter. Pour that epic cheesy mac right into the dish, carefully of course, and smooth it into a nice even layer. Man, I can just smell and taste it right now as I sit here on my laptop, and I gotta say, I'm pretty jealous of my past self for getting to eat this. Lastly, grab those garlicky breadcrumbs and evenly spoon them over the whole top of the casserole, making sure they cover as much surface area as possible so every scoop gets some of that crunchy deliciousness. I would argue that the best part about baked mac and cheese is indeed the breadcrumbs. And if they're crispy and crunchy, oof, you've got yourself a winner. And good golly, did this come out as a winner indeed. I mean, just look at that thing. It's a beast. It's a monster of cheesy, bacony proportions. You know, I would take a picture of this, print it out, and put it on a pillow, just so I would always have the memory of this mac and cheese close to my heart and my tummy. The way the edges get all crisped up, because everyone wants that corner piece with the crunchy corner noodles and cheese, am I right? The juicy tomatoes and mushrooms that practically melt into the sauce and give dynamic, soft, and firm textures. That gooey cheese, the tender macaroni. God, I'm just turning myself on right now. Is this what food porn is? The extra garlicky, crunchy breadcrumbs on top, the smoky, crispy tofu bacon bits. It's really the full meal deal here, you guys, and I eagerly await the next time I get to make this comfort food classic. Plus, I don't think my grandma has ever tried her baked mac and cheese quite like this before. So I'm really excited to get her reaction after she's tried this. Moment of truth, Grandma. Here is your veganized version of tomato mushroom baked mac and cheese. Now, something that I added in here that you might be a little surprised about are maple tofu bacon bits. Have you ever heard of tofu bacon before?
No, never. Looks good.
All right, so yeah, take a bite, Grandma.
Looks damn good. Mmm, crunchy.
That is a very garlicky breadcrumb topping that is very crispy and I think really adds something. Very crispy.
Oh yeah, I love it.
That's good to hear. Any memories coming to you right now, Grandma?
Maybe 6 kids sitting around the table arguing over nothing. Eating macaroni and cheese.
Well, that's a memory. Arguing over nothing. After having a few bites of this, Grandma, you can be totally honest with me. Is there anything you would add to this to make it, I don't know, make it more better?
I was going to say bacon.
Take it away or add more?
Add some.
Add more.
Add more. You're amazing. You are. To think of all those things to put in, to switch a recipe around, and then it's so much better, and so many different things. I don't know. You're amazing. You're an amazing cook. You are. You really are.
Aw, Grandma.
Well, you are.
Thank you. Gonna make me cry.
No, don't. Well, don't cry.
That's so sweet. Make sure to thank Grandma and I by hitting that like button below and leaving some comments for us down below about these recipes. I promise you, I will show Donna anything you want to say to her. And if you enjoyed seeing my Grandma Donna, we're going to be filming another video right after this. So again, make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss out on seeing this lovely lady in an upcoming video. We'll be sure to see you very soon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye!
Bye.
Did you ever fight with any of your siblings over who would get the last meatball growing up?
I'm quite sure there was 6 of us. I'm sure we did.
I just snorted.